Hey, welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome. So glad you could join me tonight on this November 13th, November 14th, I guess, officially on the East Coast. There we go. Just making sure we're up, making sure we're live. Awesome. Wait for a couple people to get in here. Hope this is not like my fitness class that I went to teach tonight, where nobody showed up. I mean, I get it. I know what it's like. It's getting dark. It's raining. Don't want to go to the gym, but that hasn't happened in a long time. So, anyway, glad we're all here. What's up, Big Daddy? Nice to see you in the chat. Big Daddy's over there on Rumble. We're streaming live on YouTube and on Rumble. Rumble, where the emojis are more fun. But yes, today is, I guess it's been going on. Good to see you too, man. But it is
Diwali.
Diwali. Yeah, Diwali is happening in India. That's what the thumbnail was all about. We're going to have some jokes about Diwali, but it's the Indian, not Indian, what am I saying? It's the, but it's their festival of lights. Really beautiful. So that is what is happening. See, a couple more people have joined. What's up, chat? Good to see you. Interesting day. One thing that I did, I was recommended this on Amazon Prime. It's this show, like 007. What the heck is it called? It's a reality game show type of thing. And it's really well done. It's called 007 Road to a Million. And it's streaming on Prime Video. It's 8-episode series. And it's a really interesting concept. The idea is two people go and they have to do some kind of James Bond stuff. Just they're given these ridiculous challenges, and they have to really pay attention and follow directions and then solve a problem. I've watched 2 episodes so far. It's pretty good. I would recommend it if you got the Amazon Prime. What's up, Tobias is here. Yeah, lurk away. You know, it's funny, I do that. I am such a lurker online. There are many channels that I watch that I never comment on at all. It's funny, but on my channel I want everyone to comment. I get the hypocrisy, but I realize that the vast majority of people do not ever leave a comment. And that's okay. That's okay. If you could hit the like button, I'd appreciate that, because maybe it makes a difference. Maybe that's what they say. Who knows? But I've written a couple of jokes for the show, so I'll get into that in just a minute. I got to pull over my drum kit, because I don't have a backing band. I don't have Paul on the keys or Anton on the drums. So sometimes we got to do a little something there. Hey, what's up, Erie Fairy? Nice to see you this evening. Yeah. No, commenters rule. Commenters really make this a lot more fun. You know, this show would be nothing if there weren't some interaction with people. So I'm glad you're here. But yeah, lots of interesting news today. So I guess we can get into it. I just want to check. Not that many people. You know, you do these jokes and you kind of hope it reaches more than half a dozen people, but whatever, it's all right. But yeah, I can do a couple jokes to kick things off, get things going. Probably should have a musical intro for this part, but I don't. We'll get there. So, let's talk about the news, shall we? So Jeff Bezos, everyone's favorite, has a $500 million yacht with a Norse goddess figurehead, Freya. Now, Lauren Sanchez, his girlfriend / fiancée, clarified that it's not her and joked, "If it was me, it'd have bigger breasts." Well, I guess even the goddess needs a little enhancement. I don't know about some of these jokes, but Nikki Haley is dropping $10 million on TV, radio, and digital ads in Iowa and New Hampshire. Is that enough to convince anyone she's not a neocon pushing for more wars? I know. That's more of a comment on what I think of Nikki Haley than a joke. Oh, man. Former Minneapolis City Council member Don Samuels is challenging Ilhan Omar again in 2024, saying Ilhan hasn't helped herself. Well, maybe if she had $1 for every controversy, she could fund her own campaign. Yeah, so they are releasing a new JFK documentary, What the Doctors Saw. Well, apparently, these doctors are spilling the beans, and it turns out there might have been a government cover-up. Oh, my. I guess the real mystery is why it took them 60 years to figure it out. California Governor Gavin Newsom revealed that the massive fire on Interstate 10 in Los Angeles was set intentionally. Finally, an explanation for LA traffic that even makes sense. Someone was just trying to bring the park back into parking lot. Yeah. Donald Trump Jr. spent the day on the witness stand describing the Trump Organization's properties as if he were narrating a real estate version of Cribs. I half expected him to say, "And this is where the magic happens, folks. The room where they count all the inflated property values." Iceland. Have you been there? Has declared a state of emergency as a volcano threatens to erupt, and more than 3,000 residents are urged to evacuate. I guess even Mother Nature heard about the current state of the world and thought, you know what this needs? A little lava to spice things up. Greta Thunberg was interrupted by a man who claimed he came for a climate demonstration, not a political talk. Apparently, he was expecting Greta to discuss the rising temperatures, not the rising geopolitical climate in Palestine. And in Argentina, with inflation at a whopping 140%, people are resorting to secondhand clothing markets. New jeans now cost more than a year's supply of mate, and the only inflation-proof clothing seems to be the ones already worn by someone else. It's like they're dressing for the economic apocalypse, and the hottest trend is called recession chic. Recession chic. Local news. A guy crashed a $250,000 McLaren into a Portland office building and was cited for drunken and reckless driving. Now, that's what I call a spirited attempt at remote work. Forget Zoom meetings. He just decided to bring the office to his car. And so, did you hear about the Simpsons' attempt at a woke makeover? Apparently, Homer was supposed to stop choking Bart because, you know, times have changed. Joke's on anyone who fell for that, as after 30 years, everyone should know not to believe anything said by Homer. And lastly, Leonardo DiCaprio celebrated his 49th birthday with a star-studded bash in Beverly Hills. It was so exclusive, even the Carbon Footprint had a VIP pass. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Lady Gaga. Apparently, the guest list was just a who's who of people who've won more awards than the birthday boy. Yeah, so those are the topical jokes of the day. Shocking about the McLaren. One, that there was a McLaren in Portland. $250,000 sports car. Yeah, so what's up, everybody in the chat? Jed, glad that you can join us here tonight. I appreciate all the fun emoji. Bang. It's always good. Yeah. Perhaps I'll get a stick someday. I will get a stick and I'll be able to hit those, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Well, since we're going here, let's do this, shall we? Let's do connections. Let's see if we can knock this out. If this will be another day that we win. Here we are, November 14th. That's today on the East Coast. Connections. Now, as a reminder, we've got 16 words here, and we need to find the connection between them. We need to create 4 groups of 4. So looking at this here, we got stamp, word, clown, T, book, card, letter, feature, sentence, hallmark, tree, joker, trait, table, cut up, and paragraph. Now, what is jumping out at me is I see hallmark, and I see stamp. That's all, and letter. But I don't know what the 4th one there would be. I guess that would be, and card, maybe. I don't know. Not sure about that. Not sure about that. Cup of Tom. What's up, Ox? Nice to see you. Cheers. So I know Joker. The Joker is a clown, right? So we got clown and Joker, perhaps. Cut up, right? A cut up. That's someone that makes you laugh, right? But I don't see a 4th one for that. Oh, a feature. Maybe it's feature. Feature is what you call the person that is not that is not the MC. And in a stand-up show, you have the MC. That's the guy that comes out, greets the crowd, tells you to buy drinks, tip your waitress and whatnot. Does a couple minutes, and then they bring out the feature. Often the feature will do about 20 minutes or so, traditionally, 20 to 30 minutes. And then you'll have your headliner, which is the person you paid for. They'll come up and do an hour, 45 minutes an hour, whatever it happens to be. So maybe that has to do with comedy, but I don't know. Well, I'm getting no help from the chat here, so on this. Let's see. I'll try stamp. and card and hallmark and letter. And I maybe... Nope. Well, that's not it. That's not it. I'll hit the shuffle here, mix it up. Today is tricky. The words have multiple ways they can combine. Yeah. So Tobias here says clown, feature, joker, and cut up. Yeah, let's try that. Feature, joker, clown, and cut up. One away. So 3 of these are correct. It's probably not feature, because that's probably too inside baseball. Oh, a card, right? A card is, right? Someone's a card. There we go. A funny person. Card, clown, cut up, and joker. Boom. There we go. We got the first one. With only 2 mistakes. So we got 2 left. Well, I see we have sentence and paragraph and word and letter. Yeah, let's give that a shot. Unit of language, a letter, a paragraph, a sentence, a word. Very good. Okay, now we're down to the nitty-gritty. We got to get these last 2. Yeah, Big Daddy, I guess I was just in front of you. We're on the same wavelength there. Okay. So hallmark has to be... I would think hallmark would have to be with stamp, but I don't know. I don't know about these. Yeah. Hit the shuffle here. Let's see what else we got. Trait, hallmark, feature. Stamp? Maybe. Trait, hallmark, feature, stamp. Let's go for it. Trademark. Yeah, feature, hallmark, stamp, trait. Excellent job. Excellent job, Tobias is here. Here we go. Tree, table, tea, and book. I'm not sure what tea would be there, but what is the connection? Things with leaves. Oh my goodness. That was good. Things with leaves. Book, table, tea, and tree. Oh, that's very good. Very clever. So we did it. It says solid. So we got it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it in 6. It's pretty good. Okay. It says play spelling bee. I don't want to do spelling. That doesn't sound good to me. But yeah, so today is well, not just today. What am I saying? In general, it's you know, someday I will learn the correct way to pronounce Diwali.
Diwali.
I don't know why I can't remember that. But But apparently it was yesterday. Yesterday was Diwali. But it is pretty impressive. The Festival of Lights. Have you ever been to a Diwali Festival of Lights? Let me pull up this. Let me see if there's a good one I can. Huh. Nope. Thought I could pull something up, but I don't think so. But if we were to just look at you know, just some of the pictures, you can just see how colorful and bright and beautiful it is. It looks just like a beautiful, joyous holiday, and I think we need some more of that, some more joy in everyone's life. I was thinking back to, have I ever done anything with Diwali? And I think, if I remember, back when I lived in Albuquerque, long time ago, this church that I went to, it was kind of a, I don't know, welcome to everyone kind of church. And the head guy's name there was Larry. and I really liked him. He would always come out at the beginning and tell a couple jokes, and he wasn't very good at telling jokes. He did not have comedic timing. But it was funny because he had fun with it. But every year in the winter, they would have a festival of lights, and the whole celebration is they brought in different religions, music and visuals and everything like that. And I believe that Diwali was part of that. And it was just a really nice, serene, festive, like, it was just a very peaceful event, very, very joyous, and very inclusive of, like, the whole world kind of thing. It was nice. And sometimes we need more nice in our lives. We need a little bit more nice. But speaking of Diwali, though, I wanted to tell you about some things that you might not know about Diwali. Yes. So yeah, I've written the top 12 things you might not know about Diwali. So let's get to the top 12. Top 12 things you may not know about Diwali. Diwali, the original festival of disco balls. Yeah. Number 11, world record longest conga line around the Taj Mahal in Saris. In Saris. Number 10, fireworks spell out ancient Sanskrit poems in the sky. Yeah, did not know that. Number 9, they have a yoga mat race. The fastest yogi gets a lifetime supply of ghee. Lifetime supply of ghee. Number 8, things you may not know about Diwali. Samosa throwing contests. Aim for the chutney-filled bullseye. You didn't think you'd hear about samosas and chutney, did you? No, okay. Number 7 thing you might not know about Diwali. The ancient tradition of hug a holy cow. Hug a holy cow. See, I was thinking of The Simpsons when I wrote that. Top 12 things you may not know about Diwali. Number 6, people practice the ancient art of karma karaoke. Diwali-themed pajama parade. Yes, yes. Number 4, to ward off evil spirits, families engage in a tambourine tango. Yes, they do. Number 3, the official Diwali mascot, Sir Flickerlot, is a mischievous firefly. Sir Flickerlot, the firefly. All right, the number 2 thing you may not know about Diwali, turmeric paintball, turning the streets into a vibrant healing canvas. And the number 1 thing you may not know about Diwali, the Diwali elf on a shelf. He reports naughty behavior to Lord Ganesh. Yeah, the graphic, I didn't do the graphic. I got that off of, I think, Pixabay. It's one of these sites where I get a lot of my graphics. They're like, free to use graphics. And it's not a top 12. It was just a 10. But it's a, it's a filler until I figured out something else. Yeah, here's something that I thought would be fun to talk about today. I was listening to a podcast, and this is a podcast that I like, and it's one of those things that just because you listen to someone, you watch someone, doesn't mean you co-sign everything they do. In fact, it seems like most of the people I listen to them and I go, yeah, but you're not right about this. Oh, you should really read about this. Oh, you might want to ask so-and-so because you're wrong about this point. So, and it's funny because I can't imagine trying to find someone that you agree with on everything that you're going to watch or listen to, because I would be out of luck. There would be no one I could watch. There would be no one I could listen to. But there's a podcast called You Are Not So Smart. And it's been around a long time. In fact, I was listening to the podcast before I even started this channel. And I really respect it because it brought up some cognitive biases. It brought up some logical fallacies in some of the podcasts. And I never really thought much about logical fallacies or whatever until I heard them on this podcast. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting stuff. I should learn a little bit more about this. And now I seem to be obsessed with them, right? And they had a guy on from this. Now, you may know this organization. Let's see if I can find it here. You may have seen this before. Let me see if I can pull this up. This thou shall not commit logical fallacies. And here it has 24 of the most common logical fallacies. Straw man, misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. False cause, appeal to emotion, ad hominem, right? These are all very common slippery slope, very common logical fallacies. And this is at yourlogicalfallacyis.com. And they also have one, your bias is. So it's yourbias.is. And I believe IS is Iceland, right? But that's a good domain. But for example, they have anchoring, the sunk cost fallacy. I've talked about a lot of these on my Big Idea Wednesdays. Dunning-Kruger. I haven't done Dunning-Kruger because I think it's been done by every single person on YouTube ever. Confirmation bias, curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is something I really get. Once you understand something, you presume it to be obvious to everyone. And I know that I'm a victim of this a lot. I just think everybody knows something if I know it. And if I don't know it, then nobody else knows it. That's kind of what I fall to. But they had a guy on this week, and he was talking about this new website that they've come up with called The Conspiracy Test. And I thought this would be kind of fun that we can go through this conspiracy test. Big Daddy says, yeah, that's me and Tim Pool. Sometimes he's got good points and other times not so much. Tim Pool would probably be fine if I were 20 years younger. But I think my biggest issue with Tim Pool is he's very anti-college. And I understand that, especially if you're not someone that goes to college, then you might be very much against college. I learned a lot in college. And then I went to graduate school and I got a master's in business administration. I learned so much. I think, wow, how much better our country could be if people took some of these classes, like, for example, statistics. I think statistics should be required in high school for everyone. It changed the way I looked at everything in life. And one of the things with Tim Pool is he's very anti-education. And that kind of bugs me because I see him making a lot of false claims and bad logic that he wouldn't do if he took some graduate level classes in logic and statistics and things like that. He probably wouldn't do it. But he's just ignorant of it. So Tim Pool's a little tough like that, but I got to hand it to him. He's really done well for himself. So I applaud that. I just think he should probably hire someone on his staff that knows more than him, rather than hiring people that don't know anything, or that don't know much more than him. So anyway, that's my Tim Pool thing. But here's the conspiracy test, and I'll just play the intro video here. See if you can hear it.
Conspiracies are real. Throughout history, powerful people have conspired to mislead, harm, and kill for their own power and profit. But in the disinformation age, it has become increasingly difficult to know which conspiracy theories are truly likely to be true. What if spreading false conspiracy theories is itself a true conspiracy?
Introducing the conspiracy test. Your mission is to take on the role of a skeptic detective for your own brain and find out whether a particular conspiracy theory can pass your critical thinking investigation.
Okay, so we need to choose a conspiracy theory to test below. And what I find interesting about this is all of the conspiracy theories that I see are kind of the ones that are derided, the ones that are put down in the media. I'm not seeing conspiracy theories such as weapons of mass destruction or Russian interference in the election or Hunter Biden's laptop is fake. I'm not seeing any of those conspiracies. And those are all real conspiracies. But they didn't make the site. We've got Stop the Steal, MMR vaccine, UFOs and aliens, moon landing, flat Earth, QAnon, global warming, 5G, 9/11. Now, a little nitpicky here, but it should be 9/11, September 11th. Whatever. JFK, chemtrails, secret society, plandemic, didn't die. That's about Princess Diana. So these are all conspiracy theories, and I thought it'd be fun just to see how they do this. So I'm just going to go here to the moon landing, right? And the moon landing and Apollo missions were faked by the U.S. government as a way to win the space race. Well, in my opinion, right off the bat, I think that some people think that everything was faked, right? Some people think that the entire thing was faked. But there are other people that may think that, like, no, a lot of it was real, but some of the things were faked. And there's a big difference between the two. If you think the entire thing was faked, that can kind of seem a little more out there. But I think that if you believe that maybe there were some elements of it that might have been faked, that is a totally different thing. And that is not addressed here. What they're doing is they're kind of, just right off the bat, they are they're using the straw man fallacy. You misrepresent someone's argument to make it easier to attack. So just right off the bat, I think the framing of the moon landing is a bit of a straw man, because there are many people that think that maybe part of it was, like, maybe they filmed it in New Mexico beforehand, in case something went wrong. I mean, if you think about it, you're doing this big thing. You're not sure if the cameras are going to work up there. You should probably have a backup plan. But here, we're just saying, no. The conspiracy is that everything was faked. So let's check this out. And this is a very good example of persuasion.
Pathetic human! Your feeble attempts to overcome your own biases will inevitably fail! Regardless, it is my duty to welcome you aboard and provide the following contrived exposition of your mission. To be rational, we must think in terms of probabilities rather than true or false. 1% means you think it is very likely that this is a true conspiracy, and 99% means you think that there's almost certainly no real conspiracy. So how skeptical are you that this conspiracy theory is true?
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're deciding what is the percentage that it is a very likely real conspiracy or almost certainly no conspiracy. Our baseline skepticism for the moon landing. Okay, well, if the conspiracy is how they framed it, as I think a total straw man, that the entire thing was made up. The entire thing is made up. I think that's very unlikely. So it says 1% is very unlikely. I'll go down to I'll do 11%. It's probably less than that, but I'll do 11%, and let's see how the persuasion works here to get you to reevaluate what you think of these things.
Your first objective is to consider how many real-life people would need to be in on it for this conspiracy to be viable. Often conspiracy theories refer to mysterious, hand-wavy institutions, but of course, those institutions need to be made up of people with their own lives, families, and sense of justice and morality. So the question to consider is just how many people would need to not only go along with this conspiracy, but also keep it a secret. As a project manager once said, just getting even 12 people to do what they're supposed to do, on time, without blabbing early, is nearly impossible.
Okay, so right off the bat, I might have done this totally backwards. I might have done this totally backwards. Can I go back? I'm not sure I did this right. No, I think it is. I'm not sure. Okay, so what it's asking here is examine viability. After considering just how many people you would have needed to keep their big mouths shut, I recommend we increase skepticism for the moon landing conspiracy theory. Okay, yeah, I think I did this backwards. Let's see. I'm going to hit replay. I'm going to start again because I think I did it backwards. So I'll make this so you can hear it now.
Your first objective is to consider how many real-life people would need to be in on it for this conspiracy to be viable. Often conspiracy theories refer...
Okay, screwed up again. Let's see if I can... I'll just go back to... quit. Yeah, let me try this one more time. I think I got it backwards.
Pathetic human! Your feeble attempts to overcome your own biases will inevitably fail! Regardless, it is my duty to welcome you aboard and provide the following contrived exposition of your mission. To be rational, we must think in terms of probabilities rather than true or false. 1% means you think it is very likely that this is a true conspiracy, and 99% means you think that there's almost certainly no real conspiracy. So how skeptical are you that this conspiracy theory is true?
Okay, so thank you because I read this incorrectly. I read this incorrectly. So thank you, Ox, for fixing that for me. And I hope, Tobias, that the audio is better now when I turn the microphone around. So I'm going to say that it is 88%. I'm 88% skeptical that this is a real thing, that the entire thing were faked. Okay, now, the entire thing is faked. I'm going to say probably not. If they had asked, is anything faked, I would be a lot more skeptical about it. But the entire thing is faked? No, I'll put that at 88%. So now let's go on to see how they get us to reflect on this.
Your first objective is to consider how many real-life people would need to be in on it for this conspiracy to be viable. Often conspiracy theories refer to mysterious, hand-wavy institutions, but of course, Those institutions need to be made up of people with their own lives, families, and sense of justice and morality. So the question to consider is just how many people would need to not only go along with this conspiracy, but also keep it a secret. As a project manager once said, just getting even 12 people to do what they're supposed to do, on time, without blabbing early, is nearly impossible.
All right, so we need to examine viability. After considering how many people would be needed to keep their big mouths shut, they're saying that they recommend that we increase our skepticism. But I'm going to say no. I had that in mind when I came up with this original 88%. So I'm not going to increase it because I had that in mind already. Nice trying to manipulate me. But let's go on to the next. Department of Evil in the graphic. Was that the IRS? Be careful, Ox. I think they monitor this channel.
The human brain is highly adaptive. Excellent fresh, but equally delicious in a pot roast. But on the negative side, your brain is also effortlessly deceived by simple magic tricks. If your brain can be so easily fooled by illusions, why not conspiracy theories? Even when you know someone is trying to fool you, your brain fails! Watch this attention test video and reconsider your confidence.
Okay, let's all pay attention to this. Never trust a brain. If your brain can so easily be fooled by magic tricks, why not conspiracy theories?
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away. It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you? Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
See, it was a trick. Did you fall for the trick? Yeah. Erie Ferry says they're not taking into consideration blackmail and people who are compromised. Very good point. You know, when you got the goods on someone, they're going to keep their mouth shut. They know. People would often tell me COVID could not be a conspiracy because every doctor and media member would have to be in on it. Totally untrue. They just have to play along for any reason. Reasons like wanting to keep their job, fit in with their peers, avoid controversy, etc. Totally agree, Tobias. Totally agree there. Ox says, what? What if she didn't know the right timing? So it says here, never trust a brain. After considering my brain's unrelenting susceptibility to being tricked, I'll increase my skepticism for the moon landing conspiracy theory. No, I'm not going to. In fact, I might even become more sure. But look at this here. It will only allow me to increase it, but I can't. Oh, and look, if you raise it, oh, you can't see this here. If you raise it, it raises your critical thinking score. Well, I think everyone wants to have a higher critical thinking score, right? I want my critical thinking score to be higher, so I've raised it to 92%. Do you see how that was a bit manipulative there? Let's go to the next slide.
To have confidence in our beliefs, we need to consider alternative perspectives with an open mind. Watch this debunking video and see how much it's able to help you increase your skepticism. But remember, this video may contain its own biases, so view it with skepticism too. The point of watching this video is to just openly consider an alternative perspective.
Oh no, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Have you really thought about what it would take to fake a moon landing?
Then an astronomical number of people would have had to keep that secret, like over 400,000 NASA employees.
You want all 400,000 of us to keep our mouths shut?
Yes, please.
Scientists from Australia, Spain, and England who said they independently picked up the moon landing transmission from space, and the Russians, our space race rivals, who had every reason to prove us wrong.
It's been 50 years and we haven't even claimed that you faked it.
Conspiracy number 1. How is the flag waving in no atmosphere? They made it look like it was waving in the wind by installing a horizontal rod on top of the flag. However, the astronauts were unable to extend the entire way, giving it that waving effect. Conspiracy number 2. Why aren't there any stars in the photos? A limited exposure range is the reason why we can't see stars in any of the Apollo photos. Unlike our eyes, cameras can take in only a certain amount of light.
So you can actually see the same effect of this if you try and take a picture of the night sky with your own smartphone at home. You'll find that you just get a picture of complete blackness.
Conspiracy number 3. The shadows are wrong. Conspiracy theorists point out that since the sun is the only light source on the moon, shadow angles should be consistent. However, when sunlight hits the surface of the moon, some of it bounces off. That's why an astronaut in the lunar module's shadow isn't completely shrouded in black. The moon's light is softening the shadow. Conspiracy number 4. Why didn't the astronauts die from radiation exposure? The spacecraft's hull shielded the astronauts from being exposed to lethal radiation while traveling through the Van Allen belts.
The spacecraft that took those Apollo 11 astronauts out through that Van Allen belt was flying at a very high speed, meaning that they were only exposed to that radiation for a very short amount of time. A short enough amount of time that literally the spacecraft walls themselves were enough to protect them from that radiation. There's many more pieces of evidence to back up that the Apollo 11 moon landings happens. One of the things was that they brought back a huge amount of lunar rocks, lunar samples that have been thoroughly tested in labs to prove that they are actually from the moon.
But where's the tangible proof that we went to the moon, huh? There isn't any.
Actually, there is. While the astronauts were on the moon, they laid out a reflective material called retroreflectors. So today, when an observatory on Earth aims a high-powered laser at them, it bounces right back.
It still could have been faked. All you'd have to do is secretly develop computer graphics technology decades ahead of its time, convince multiple governments to lie on our behalf, and then somehow get retroreflectors to the moon without actually going there. You could do that, right?
Forget it, lady. It'd be easier to put a man on the moon.
All right, so now I found this just insulting to anyone that's ever looked at moon landing conspiracies, because they picked the absolute, it's a total straw man. They picked the absolute dumbest, weakest arguments about the moon landing being fake. And I'm not even saying that the moon landing is fake. I'm not saying that at all. I think that we most likely did go to the moon. But they're presenting the absolute dumbest, weakest arguments that are made for it. They're not picking the strongest. And if you want to debunk something, right? I've heard this. If there's a list of things to debunk, if there are a list of things, you know, you got this major list of things, and you want someone to debunk it, you don't want to have to debate a laundry list, right? So what you need to do is ask, which one is the strongest? What's your strongest case? And then you can just debunk the strongest case. Because if the strongest one isn't real, then probably the other ones aren't real either. But in this case, they picked the absolute weakest, dumbest theories about the moon landing being fake. And I don't think that that's fair, and it's rather insulting to our intelligence. But back here it says, after making contact with the other side, I'll increase my skepticism for the moon landing conspiracy to, well, I want my critical thinking score to go up, so I'll just keep moving it up. Because I like little rewards on the screen.
Shifting our mindset by taking on a different point of view can help offset our biases. Here's a selection of short notes from people like you who have pretended to be 99% skeptical of this conspiracy theory. Read a few of these notes, then choose if you want to add your own.
Okay. Hey, what's up, Matthew Adams? Thanks for all your hard work, Tom. I wish you much success. Thank you. You can help me with minor success if you just, if you like this, just share it with someone. I'll see how long I can do it. But yeah, if you could share this with someone, hit the like button. That's what you can do to thank me. So, but I appreciate the kind words. But here, this slide says, to shift perspective, the notes on the next screen are from people like you who think the moon landing conspiracy theory might be true. But have you tried to come up with the best reason they think of to doubt it? All right, well, let's just look here. Optional, see if you can come up with a good reason someone might want to be skeptical about this conspiracy theory. And write a short note. We'll add the best ones for others to read. Well, whatever I choose won't be the best one, so I'll pass on this. After shifting my perspective, I'll increase my skepticism for the moon landing conspiracy theory. Well, let's move it up, because I want a high critical thinking score. So I'll just say next here.
You have now completed the test. After you've gone through the slightly annoying process of entering your details, you will be shown how you compare and be given the opportunity to download free critical thinking posters and or buy some sweet merch to support our nonprofit. Now, get off my spaceship!
Okay. So that was the presentation. I'm going to pass on this here. I don't think I need to give them this. I don't need any more spam. But that's the conspiracy test. And like I say, they only go through, Flat Earth, QAnon. And I haven't seen any of the other ones here. I haven't seen QAnon. But I'm sure they're not taking on like the strongest arguments, like global warming here. I'm sure they're not taking on the strongest argument. In fact, right here, what they're saying with the global warming conspiracy theory, they say scientists have faked and distorted climate data as part of a plot to control energy to get research funding. That's an interesting way to frame it. I mean, it's all about the framing, right? They framed it in such a way that I don't think that any big people that are skeptical of global warming are making that claim. They're not even making that claim. The claim is that only some scientists are listened to and other scientists are not listened to, and that's not really science, right? But in this case, they're saying that they faked and distorted data as a plot, as an evil plot to control energy. No, that's not it. And this is coming from the school of thought, which I like, which does a lot of really interesting stuff. They have the school of thought, the 24 biases that I showed you, logical fallacies. They got a shop where they sell the stuff, rules of a civil conversation. Lots of good stuff here. But in my opinion, this conspiracy test, I think, is for people that want to make fun of conspiracy theories. And it's not serious about conspiracies because, like I said, Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. That was a conspiracy. What did they call people that disagreed with that at the time? Conspiracy theorist. What about even today? We heard about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. There's an update on it. But originally, what did they tell us about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline? Oh, Russia destroyed their own pipeline. Well, that's a conspiracy theory. I would like to see belief in the Nord Stream 2 narrative on this. And then we could really learn about different conspiracies and how to evaluate them. But in this case, this website really isn't doing that. They're just picking the most far out conspiracies that are framed in such a way that I don't even think the conspiracy theorists believe. And I think that's a bit disingenuous, but that's just my take on it. What does anybody else take on that? The fact that they're trying so hard to convince us, though, makes me wonder, LOL. Exactly. Exactly. Reasons like wanting... Okay, what if she didn't know the right timing? Okay, haha, how ironic you can't have your own opinion on this. Pretty much. Big Daddy says an alternative perspective doesn't mean you're right. Yeah, having an alternative perspective, it's just an alternative perspective. I will share a conspiracy theory with everybody that's tuned in this long, right? Here's my conspiracy theory. I have been doing Photoshop for 25 years, right? Pretty good at it. And I will say that the long-form birth certificate of Obama looks to be fake. However, to be clear, to me it doesn't look right. However, I don't necessarily think that there's anything inaccurate on it, okay? There's a very good possibility that, I don't know, maybe they couldn't find it. Or maybe they had it, but if they messed with it and made it look a little fake, hear me out. They know that some right-wingers would say, hey, this looks fake to me. And then you can condemn them, call them bigots, call them xenophobes, call them racists for not accepting this. And you've got the entire media apparatus to back you up. And they can all come in and point and laugh and ridicule anyone that would question it. Okay? Now, I have no evidence to suggest that Obama wasn't born in Hawaii or anything like that. Okay? I suspect that he was. What I do think, though, is the document that they produced was manipulated, in my opinion. based on my expertise in Photoshop. I think it's pretty impossible to scan a document and get it to look like that. The only way you could get it to look like that is with some digital manipulation. However, that doesn't mean that it's not all the right information. All the right information could be there. Okay? You might call me a conspiracy theorist for thinking that. You may call that, and, oh, are you some birther, truther, or something like that? Like, no. I suspect that he was born in Hawaii, and I have, like, no issue with Obama with that. However, I think the long-form birth certificate, I don't buy it. I've never heard that perspective from anyone when they discuss it. All it is, it's all or nothing. You think he was in Kenya and he's some being controlled, or he's, the second coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's kind of how the whole thing was set up at the time. And yeah, so, and if anyone could ever, and I looked at the thing, I downloaded the document that was published at the whitehouse.gov website. I downloaded it and looked at it myself in layers and the whole thing. Okay. If I had to bet, I would bet that it was manipulated. That's my take. I don't think that but if I were to say this to most people, I would be considered some kind of nut. And that is what that's why calling someone a conspiracy theorist is so powerful, because all the NPCs, right? All the people that aren't online a lot of people that don't do any research into anything, they just kind of get their opinions are assigned to them from the media. That's what they've been told, right? Any conspiracy theorist, they're a nut, and we just got to push them out there. Settled science seems to have a lot of missing data. Yeah, and that's the thing. Science is never settled. That's the great thing about science, is you have to question science. And anyone that's saying not to question science is anti-science. Science is supposed to be questioned. That's the entire process. That's the scientific process. Who coined the term conspiracy theorist? Many people say that was the CIA came up with that in regards to questioning of the JFK narrative. And, this was probably tested and found out that this was a really powerful way to dismiss alternative theories. So there's that. They seem to have a practice scoring how skeptical you should be. Yeah. Exactly. CIA has thousands of people keeping their secrets. Exactly. The CIA does have thousands of people, and they're all keeping secrets. But here's the thing. Like with the thing there that they said that if the moon landing was fake, then 400,000 people would have to be in on it, right? Do you remember that from the video? 400,000 people, the Adam ruins everything guy. What a tool. I don't think the secretaries or the janitors or anyone like that working at NASA would be in on it. That's just ridiculous. There would be some people that would be in on it, but probably most people at NASA would not be in on it. And to frame it in such a way just seems, you just seem to be a big liar if you're going about that. I don't know. This show is continuing the moon conspiracy, very unintelligent arguments. I hope you don't mean this show. I hope you mean this show that we watched. Yeah, I would just like to see it like so many things. if you're curious about something, you want the best argument debunked. You don't want the dumbest argument debunked. I can debunk dumb arguments. You can debunk really dumb arguments. I want to hear people debunk the really good arguments. That's what I want to hear. And that would be a lot more interesting. But the thing is, they know that most people don't need to have everything debunked. They can just say it's debunked, and most people just go along with it. And I would probably 10 years ago, I might have just gone along with it too. I might not have looked into it either. Into anything. I would have said, oh, the media said it's debunked. Well, then it's debunked. And I might have been that person 10 years ago. Oh, yeah. So I don't hold anything against anyone that just goes along with the narrative that's put out there. We're all at different stages in our skepticism. Because I know that I have thoughts today that I probably wouldn't agree with from 5 years ago. I have ideas today I probably wouldn't agree with a year ago. And that's the thing, is hopefully you keep learning more and more and you're not stuck in a rut. Because if that were the case, right, I would, we'd all be listening to the same music we listened to when we were 7 or 8 years old. I'd still be rocking out to, Kenny Rogers and John Denver. That's what I liked when I was in second grade. Those were my guys. And if I didn't develop over time, I still like them now. But I mean, we'd have the same thing. If our palates didn't change, if we didn't try new foods, we'd all be eating chicken fingers, right? And I know there's some adults that still eat chicken fingers. Get out of your house. Go. There's better food out there. So that's that. Game title: Resistance is Futile. Exactly. Barry Satoro equals Barack Obama. Oh, you meant the one we were watching. Good. But if you were critical of me, that's cool too. People can be critical of me. I'm critical of me. I don't think anyone can be more critical of me than I already am, or than notes I will get from my parents. My dad will tell me what I got wrong on this. So, yeah. I read that in the Manhattan Project, over 100,000 people were working, but it was classified and people weren't all in the loop in what they were building. Yeah, that's it. If you compartmentalize something, you don't know what you're doing. And if they have different names for things, you think that you're working on some project and you're working on a different project. You don't know. Most people want to be told truth rather than investigate for themselves. It's one of the things that I've really seen, though, is that many people, I don't know, most people, they're just not creative enough to think of alternative explanations for things. And I think if you get in the habit of being skeptical, or, everything takes practice, right? So I've been writing little jokes and stuff for this show, based on the news articles of the day. And it just takes some practice, and I get better at it, and I'm a lot better at it now than I was at the beginning of the year. It's the same thing with coming up with alternative ideas. You hear something and you think, I wonder if there's a different way I can think about this. The corporate media is giving me one explanation. Are there any other explanations? And once you start doing that, and once you get better at coming up with different ideas on things, it doesn't mean that you're right, but at least it opens your mind to different possibilities. And I think that that's kind of the name of the game there. Anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out with me tonight. This was fun. I wanted to go through that because I listened to the podcast on this website. And typically, I like a lot of the work that the School of Thought does. So it's not a diss on them. They hired me. I think I could make this site even better than it is. But it's still pretty impressive for what they're doing. But it is an interesting way to think about things and to evaluate, should I be more skeptical? Should I be more skeptical? In this case, though, I'm more skeptical of them than I am of the conspiracy theories that they gave us. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Tomorrow, noon on the West Coast, 3 p.m. on the East Coast, I'll be back with the Coffee and Nuance show, going through the news of the day. Hopefully there's some new news, because I think I went through a lot of the news already. But that's the thing, is there's always new news that's happening. And I'll be back tomorrow night hanging out, doing the Midnight Americano show. So if you want to join me, 12 a.m. on the East, 9 p.m. on the West Coast, I'll be back here for another Midnight Americano. See you tomorrow, Big Daddy. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me. You really made this a lot of fun. And until then, peace.